dengan masing-masing closing statement dari para pembicara kita hari ini. Seperti tadi saya bilang dan saya sapa, kita kedatangan Mr. Paul Armstrong, yang merupakan Director Association of British Muslim. Pada kesempatan kali ini, Mr. Paul bersedia untuk memberikan dua kata tentang kolaborasi dan kesannya Gus Dur kepada British Muslim dan juga NU. Mungkin boleh di-unmute, silahkan Mr. Paul.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you. I wasn't expecting to speak today, but I appreciate the invitation. It's good to see my friend Gus Yahya as well. I'm glad to see you are well. I mean, in these times, it's very testing with all this COVID still around and everything. So it's good to see that my friends here are well. Gus Dur is, may Allah bless his soul, is a very special person in the Muslim world. Not just for people in Indonesia. I'm aware of his great importance for Indonesians. But because of the way Abdul Rahman Wahid lived his life, and when he entered government, he pursued a path where he showed that there is no conflict between Islam and democracy. There is no conflict between being a modern leader of a modern country and being a Muslim. That the real Islam is a path of moderation and respect towards everyone, to live responsibly, to establish the rule of law, to participate in the international rule of law as well as within the country, but also internationally, this rules-based order that has been established after World War II. And at least up until now, has avoided any major conflict on the scale of the First and Second World Wars that were devastating within the 20th century. And we can only hope and pray that this continues in these very testing times at the moment, where this international rules-based order is really being put to the test with the rise of other powers like China. So it's very important that we remember what Gus Dur did, and that we realize this is not just for something that Indonesians need to learn, because any Muslim internationally who learns about Abdul Rahman Wahid and how he conducted himself and how he led his government when he was in office has a tremendous amount to learn. And not just Muslims either, but obviously as a Muslim myself, a British Muslim, I take great inspiration from his example, because likewise, I'm an Englishman. When I embraced Islam 20 years ago, as much as I love and respect the Arabs and the Pakistanis, I never became an Arab or a Pakistani. I'm an Englishman. My culture is British culture. This is why I'm wearing a Christmas jumper, even though I have Imam Hussein's name behind me, and I have a Nahdlatul Ulama hat on, and I have a tasbih, but I'm wearing a Christmas jumper. Why? Because I'm British. Christmas is part of my cultural heritage. I don't celebrate it in the same way as Christians, but at the same time, there's some aspects of Christmas which are part of my cultural heritage. In the same way that the Ramayana is part of the cultural heritage of all Indonesian people. And, you know, we have to preserve our cultural heritage and not just abandon everything when we come into Islam. Sorry, I think someone needs to mute. If we abandon our cultural heritage, then we would all be merged together. We would lose our identities. We would lose the richness and diversity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has actually gifted our human family with. And that would be, I believe, a tremendous shame. You know, Islam never requested that. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never requested that. When Salman al-Farsi embraced Islam, he was still a Persian man. He didn't say to him, abandon being a Persian man and become an Arab. No, he was still a Persian man. He would have still spoke Persian to his friends. He would have explained the message of Islam in the Persian language. When the Prophet Muhammad met Roman people from Byzantium, the same thing would have applied. And we saw later on with the Turkish people when they came into Islam and the Ottoman Empire. They had the Turkish Ottoman cultural heritage. So it's, and they made a tremendous contribution to, Islam internationally. A contribution which still is still there, in terms of mosques, in terms of architecture, in terms of so many cultural things which we still benefit from. And also the Persian people themselves. I mean, not just Iran, but internationally, a very large, language community in many different countries. And, we see also, I believe, Indonesia. Indonesia is the largest Muslim country in the world, although it's not actually run as a Muslim country, it is a republic. But the majority of the population are Muslims. And, within Indonesia, you have a very big and important organization called Nahdlatul Ulama. This is one of the largest Muslim organizations, not just in Indonesia, but internationally. And I think it is very important that people get to learn more about Nahdlatul Ulama, because the more I've learned about Nahdlatul Ulama, I see my own Islam in Nahdlatul Ulama. I don't see just an Indonesian Islam. Obviously, the culture that Nahdlatul Ulama has is Indonesian culture. It's a lot of Javanese, Sundanese, and other Indonesian influence, because it's an Indonesian organization. But at the same time, the approach to Islam which Nahdlatul Ulama has is an approach which can be applied in any culture internationally, where people can then substitute their local culture for where you have in Indonesia the Indonesian culture. Islam has to be rooted within its local cultural societies. It has to be, Islam in Britain has to be rooted in Britain. Islam in America has to be rooted in America. Just as Islam in Saudi Arabia is rooted in Saudi Arabia. If we have an Islam that is like imposed from outside, and other people from another country or another cultural background are telling us how to be Muslims, then we're not going to keep to that Islam, are we? Eventually people are going to rebel against it because it doesn't suit their nature as people. It doesn't suit their local cultural context. And it's an imposition upon them. Whereas Islam, as I've always understood it, even before I came into contact with Nahdlatul Ulama, it is a connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a belief in the Prophet Muhammad as the last and final messenger of Allah, and in also all of the other 124,000 prophets that were sent to our human family. And that's a number. That's an interesting number. 124,000 prophets. Who are they? Who are these 124,000 prophets that were sent to every nation of our human family? You add up the number that's in the Quran. How many prophets are in the Quran? Then add the ones that are in the Bible, because we accept that these are the previous revelations of previous prophets who we accept. Even if you add up all of the prophets that are mentioned in the Bible and in the Quran, you won't get to anywhere near 124,000. So who were these other 124,000 messengers that were sent to our human family, that were sent to the local cultures and civilizations by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to inspire them and call them to the way of Allah? We don't know who they are. Maybe they were Krishna, maybe they were Buddha, maybe they were Rama. These other prophets, are the founders of other religions. Who are we to say that they aren't Muslims? We don't know. But actually some of them, especially in the case of the Buddha, for instance, if you read his teachings, they bear a striking resemblance to the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Similar with the teachings of Lao Tzu from China. So maybe these were among the messengers of Allah. So we have to respect their ways. We have to respect the ways of the people who follow them and follow their teachings. People who are still inspired by them today, even if their religions have diverged to some degree from their original, what we would understand to be Islam of these previous prophets. But we still have to respect them. And surely that's the only way we can go forward as a human family. And I think Nahdlatul Ulama, I believe Nahdlatul Ulama has a very important role to play in this. And this is why I affiliate myself with Nahdlatul Ulama. And I really appreciate the contribution that Nahdlatul Ulama makes internationally. but I think we do need to expand how Nahdlatul Ulama does things on the international scene. And it is just as I was talking about how we do things locally, we have to do things in the main international languages and also in local languages, so that people can also benefit internationally more from Nahdlatul Ulama and from the tremendous contribution to Islam which Nahdlatul Ulama has made. Thank you, and I wish you all the very best. May Allah bless you all. And let's pray that 2021 brings more barakah and blessings than 2020.
Thank you so much, Paul Armstrong. Thank you so much for your remarks. Thank you so much for your appreciation of NU and as well as our teacher, Gus Dur. Menarik sekali tadi Mr. Armstrong bilang bahwa beliau relate sekali dengan ajaran-ajaran NU yang dimana NU ini tidak menghapus kultur dan tidak menghapus identitas. Islam itu bukan tentang menghapuskan identitas dan kultur itu sendiri itu diberikan oleh Allah. Maka tadi beliau sempat berkata bahwa saya mungkin selebrasi Christmas karena Christmas itu adalah bagian dari kultur saya sebagai orang Inggris. Saya memakai sweater seperti ini karena saya itu termasuk dengan kultur saya sebagai orang Inggris. Tapi mungkin cara saya merayakan Christmas itu bukan seperti mungkin orang Kristen, tapi itu adalah sebagai bagian dari kultur beliau yaitu orang Inggris. Maka tadi nyambung sekali dengan pertanyaan dan juga penjabaran Kiai Yahya tentang Islam Indonesia dan identitas Islam yang akan selalu nyambung dengan kultur dimanapun kita berada. Mungkin itu remarks dari Mr. Armstrong adalah penutup kita. Sekarang saya akan persilahkan untuk tiap narasumber memberikan closing remarks atau kata-kata terakhir.